Hello, my name is Fionn and this is my first video and I will be discussing Dexter Resurrection. And firstly, I will quickly recap the first 3 episodes. So we know Dexter survived due to the cold in Iron Lake, which was, I thought he was dead, but obviously Showtime thought different. Angela Bishop dropped all charges then. We find out Angel Batista is sent the pictures by Angela and is shocked. Goes all the way up to New York to the Indian reservation and sees Dexter, and it's quite obvious he thinks Dexter is the Bay Harbor butcher, and along with Dexter hears about the body with 9 pieces, which we'll get onto in a bit, and he just bolts out there because he knows his son. His son is in New York City and could be doing anything, and he obviously has that fatherly instinct to look after his son. And on the Harrison side, after the events of New Blood, Harrison drives to New York City, gets a job with this hotel called the Empire Hotel, which seems to be quite a upstanding hotel. And I've been to New York once and it reminds me of the hotel I was at. It just looks very nice. And it seems Harrison doesn't have a fixed abode. He just kind of is in rooms that like his friend Elsa takes. So Harrison has this encounter. Earlier in the episode he meets this guy Ryan who gives him his watch, and then he also meets Shauna. Then later on in the episode, Ryan is at the bar with Shauna, and it appears he's put something in her drink that is going to make her not able to protect herself very well, and Ryan is going to do something not very good. And so Harrison brings him up to Ryan's room and he doesn't feel good, but he leaves. But then as he's walking away, he hears screams of no, and he's like, okay, I have to go in. And he goes in, and Harrison's a good guy, but we also know he's the son of Dexter, and that means he has violent tendencies, and they just kind of break out in a brawl, and Harrison just beats him up at the toilet head, and he remembers all the lovely lessons his dad gave him, and then goes down to the bottom kitchen and chops up Brian Foster into 9 pieces and disposes of him in garbage bags. And then it turns out when the bags are being thrown away that some body parts fall out, and then the police are obviously very interested in what this is, and we're introduced to Claudette Wallace and her partner, and it's quickly apparent that these two know what they're doing. They quickly deduce a lot of what's happened with this murder, a lot of the methodology. They know the bathroom was cleaned by someone very good, and yeah, they find out the bags came from the hotel and stuff like that, and they come to the hotel, and it's a problem for Harrison. And on the Dexter side, he goes there, he meets Blessing, who tells him about the Dark Passenger Killer, which Dexter hears that name and it's like a red rag to a bull. He's furious, he really is furious. And Blessing is just like the nicest person like ever in the franchise probably, and he says come to a party, and Dexter meets Blessing's friend who met the Dark Passenger and just gives him the video of the Dark Passenger killing with the hood that blocks the camera. And then Blessing gets an apartment, which I imagine in New York would be quite difficult otherwise. So Dexter is he's just over the moon. He can just get to what he does best, which is killing people basically. And so he finds out Ronald Schmidt is the Dark Passenger, Red, and he hunts him down and kills him basically. And then we find out Charlie, played by Uma Thurman, a big actress, there's obviously left invitations to this big event, and it becomes obvious to Dexter that this is some sort of like killer meetup, and he's like ecstatic, absolutely like elated. And so they know that Claudette Wallace and her partner know that Harrison was the last person seen with Ryan Foster, so they were very suspicious. And Harrison really does fumble these interviews a lot, very badly. And basically they're very suspicious, and then Elsa gives him an alibi, which was quite lucky for Harrison, but it was true technically. Because in these interviews Harrison is very distressed, and Claudette's clearly a sharp detective who doesn't miss much. And generally in conversations, when you're talking in a question sort of setting and someone's like sweating or looking down, something is amiss. And yeah, Harrison really panics and fumbles, but just ends up being okay with this. But that doesn't, obviously the investigation is ongoing. So, the review of episode 4. Dexter, we begin back at Ronald Schmidt's apartment. Dexter is thrilled about this meetup. Harry Morgan is there and is like, but Dexter doesn't care. Dexter is the boss. And Charlie picks him up, driving him to Leon Prater's mansion. Well, Dexter doesn't know, but then he does, because Leon Prater greets him and is like thrilled to see him, and is like, Ronald Schmidt. Dexter's like, call me Red, because obviously he's currently in character as the Dark Passenger. But no other killers have arrived, so Prater gives Dexter a quick tour of the kind of premises, and he has this big museum of serial killer memorabilia. Like, I'm Irish, but I have heard of some of these killers. There's Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy. These are all famous names in history just because of their killers. And then obviously there's the Dexter universe, such as Brian Moser, which is one of Dexter's most well-known kills. Obviously one of the best seasons of the show, season 1. And he has Trinity's hammer, and even Leon knows that Trinity killed in 4s. We know what Trinity killed a little boy actually before the 3 kills that were like symbolized in his ritual. Or yeah, Trinity's something else. We'll get into him in another video perhaps. And he has Dexter's blood slides. And I looked at the Dexterverse. There was like some simulator you can look at his vault thing, and you clicked on it and it was like James Duff's the Big Harbour Butcher, and I was like, that's funny. Because it's just funny to see that, because obviously in the Dexterverse everyone but a select few know or think that James Duff was the Butcher for a long time. And yeah, we then see other killers arrive. Lowell, I might get their order mixed up here. Lowell is Neil Patrick Harris. He's quite cocky. Dexter kind of dislikes him. Lady Vengeance, Kristen Ritter, Mia. It's intimated she only kills sexual predators, which I think Dexter, this perks Dexter usually. He's like, oh, this girl has a code too, not just a random killer. And then Rapunzel is played by Cameron Tucker from Modern Family. I forget the actor's name. Who he comes in and he's FaceTiming his family and his kids or whatever. And then it's like, oh yeah, just the killer as well. It's pretty comical. And Dexter is curious about how does he balance the family man thing and the killer. He's actually like, because he couldn't do it. And then there's David Dasmalchian. He's quite a quiet killer. Seems quite isolated, you know. And I think Dexter likes him. Seems pretty... Dexter respects him a bit. And then Prater gets Lowell to give a presentation at dinner. And Lowell's basically saying he's going to kill this girl pretty soon to get her the dog tattoo. And Dexter is like, then I have to kill Lowell pretty quickly too. And then a comedic element is obviously Ronald Schmidt is vegan. And we know Dexter is like a foodie and just loves eating burgers and fries and just all this yummy stuff. And he sees like a big tasty dinner Prater's prepared and he's like yum yum. And then some vegan meal comes out and he's like, which is kind of funny. And then, yeah, we'll go back to Harrison. So Harrison is encountered by Batista and they discuss Dexter. And we know Batista knows Dexter's alive, obviously, and then Harrison doesn't know, but Batista plays along. And there's this kind of, Harrison just kind of keeping the lie going, and it's good acting by Harrison. And then Elsa approaches him, and she's like, Harrison, nothing to do with Ryan Frash's murder. And Batista didn't know anything about this, so he's like, here's about the 9 pieces, and his spidey sense is tingling. He's like, something is going on here, lads. So he goes to NYPD Homicide Division. Claudette is just listening to her music, you know, jamming, whatever she's doing on her computer. And then her partner comes in, they discuss the case. And then Batista comes in and asks to speak to them about this case. Because clearly he needs help from the local authorities, because he obviously believes that Harrison has done this thing. And back to Dexter. So Dexter and Mia, they kind of hit it off. There was maybe chemistry between them. And they go for a jog, and Lady Vengeance, she's kind of, her background, she's went all around the United States growing up. Because her mother was going with different guys. And one of these guys was obviously not good, and she had a very kind, lovely sister who, I don't know, it's not said whether this father figure abused her or killed her. She did something not good to Mia's sister, and Mia kills him, and is intimated she liked ballet before, but then she's like, no, killing's way better, there's way better release. And then they go back to her place for some pastries. And again, Dexter is looking forward to some chocolatey pastries or something like that. And there's some green kale thing, and he's like, oh, not again. And then she kind of goes into the shower, and it's pretty obvious she's like, join me. She likes Dexter big time. But then he realizes he has to take out Lowell. His love for killing is more than his love for girls. I think it's close, but it's killing is his first love always. And he meets Lowell, and it's like, hey, how you doing? And then Lowell is like, they're across from the tattoo shop. Lowell is like, I have to go because it's showtime soon. And the reveal Lowell is anesthesiologist, which is, if you've been at a dentist, they do that to your mouth so you're not in extreme pain. So basically that for operations is something, I presume, for the full body, which is ideal for Dexter because he doesn't have his M99 and all his stuff. So Lowell is tracking this girl who got the dog tattoo, and like, he has his thing, then Dexter just comes and does that. And there's the scene where Dexter killed Lowell is pretty iconic, I think, because we know Dexter said to Dokes, I never liked that name about the butcher nickname, but he takes pride now. He's like, I'm Dexter, I'm the Bay Harbor butcher. He revealed himself to Lowell before he kills him, and I think he's taking pride because in his head, kills are like positive things, they release endorphins, and he's in so many kills. The nickname is associated with killing, and he's like, I'm owning this now, I'm the butcher. And he takes out Lowell basically, and it was quite clear Lowell was the sort of killer. Having seen every episode of the franchise up to now, Lowell is the sort of killer that Dexter loves to take out. That kind of cocky, no reason for killing the girl other than tattoos, which is quite superficial. And Dexter loves that. He loves that big time. So yeah. And then we have a scene where Harrison is quite distressed, pulls out Claudette's business card and is about to type her number in. And then, the last minute, he stops, and then he goes over to the police station. He's about to stroll in and say, I presume, everything about anything to do with his family and him. And then Dexter pats him on the shoulder and is like, don't do it. And then that's the end of the episode. And on social media, this episode is getting a lot of excellent reaction, and I would have to agree, because it was very action-packed. I enjoyed it a lot, and yeah, I loved it. It really felt like old Dexter, that killing of Lowell. And the thing with this show is the cast of actors is like kind of very powerful. It's all very good, well-known actors, and they're all just nailing their roles completely. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.